Welcome back, Keeper. I mean, absolute evil. Dungeons for advanced students. The skilled evil quickly learn the... The knowledge-thirsty evil obviously couldn't get enough of these crazy tutorials. All right then, let's improve our knowledge of the dungeon. The absolute evil's creatures gathered experience from battles over the course of time, and thus reached new levels. This was to be welcomed, as higher-level creatures were much more powerful. Unfortunately, the creatures also became harder to please as their levels increased, and had the impudence to demand new things. Unbelievable! Well, that borders on treason. Bored creatures, for example, would later demand beer that they themselves produced in the brewery. But the brewery was still a long way off, as the annoyed evil's little snots had once again proved their lack of intelligence and hadn't built any workplaces in the dungeon. Toolboxes would later be needed for the brewery. These were produced by little snots at workplaces in the workshop. Sighing, the once again disappointed by its workers' evil, set about building the workplace. The little snots willingly set to work producing toolboxes with a stupid grin on their faces. These were needed to build the workplace in the brewery. A cast iron brewing kettle made out of toolboxes? Computer game logic. The not particularly known for its patience evil patiently waited for enough toolboxes to be available. The splendid evil had finally produced enough toolboxes by waiting in boredom. It quickly set about building the brewing kettle. The brewing kettle stood proudly, and the diligent little snots went directly to work producing the delicious brew, so that the horde creatures could soon start knocking it back. All that was missing was someone playing some good old-fashioned folk music. Then again, maybe not. Always makes my ears bleed. But now for something completely different, as the hard-working evil now had access to the lecture hall. There, additions to normal research in the form of scrolls could be made for small amounts of gold, time, and evilness. The always slathering for something new evil quickly began to try them out. Yes, my grandmother always found that a good choice. Very interesting. I would have researched that too. Payday. Your little snots had dug up some Realm Forge employees. They had been hiding there from the Goldmaster deadline. They looked rather upset. Splendid work. The good-humored evil had not only satisfied its alcoholic creatures, but at the same time learned more about research. It now considered itself well-equipped to begin converting the lessons learned into evil, nasty deeds. The final exam. The chock full of knowledge evil now faced the challenge of preparing its dungeon for real dangers. And now it's time for a good book. Still have this comic, and if I were to make myself a drink, I could... Oh, wait. You're here? What? Has already done all the tutorials? What do you mean the menu offers a fourth tutorial? But I don't have any more documents for that. I'd love to work with professionals just once. Those boneheads at Realmforge can't even get the main menu right. They're probably busy building the Berlin airport. Well, since you're already here, we can... Oh, crap. Third person. Well, since the already arrived evil was already there, probably forget that too. The keeping the narrator from his hard-earned drink and his lovely Marvel comic book evil commenced yet another tutorial. In this one, it would, learn something about, traps and spells, like, how to make and use them. It was a pretty, free-form tutorial, as if someone had just made it up really quickly. It was about defending the dungeon against attacking heroes. A few traps had already been placed. These were ready to make life difficult for every hero that approached them. Some others were manually triggered by a blow from the Hand of Terror. Here, timing was everything. The Arcanium already held a lot of mana, ready to be used for powerful spells. A suspicious trampling of heavy boots and clanging of armor was heard in the dungeon. Soon, the first heroes would enter the dungeon. Enemies have entered the dungeon. There are enemies in your 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 dungeon. It's payday. Your dungeon heart is under attack. Your dungeon heart is under attack. All right, excellent work. The last hero had been fended off. The tutorial was finished. Finally, I can get back to my gin and tonic. Super. Well done. So, now it's time you turn to other things. Things that don't stop me from drinking and from reading my comic. The Shadow of Absolute Evil. A long time ago, the Absolute Evil had, in the famous predecessor to this game, subjugated the known world and defeated good. Now, in a world full of blackness and despair, it spent its days sipping cocktails from the skulls of its enemies and forging new plans over a grilled unicorn kebab. Unfortunately, there wasn't much left to forge. A few orc wedges, the occasional trick played on the little snots. The great paladin Tanos, hero of the totally Eastern Kingdoms and a repugnantly good fellow. He was visiting the fatiguing library in Tristram with his comrades to see his foster daughter Talia.
Well now, Talia, tell me about your studies. Are you making progress with the writings of the ancient sages?
Yes, dear father. I have thoroughly digested it, and
As the shadow of the unspeakably evil moved through the world, all around it died. Plants withered. Animals perished. Sort of like a picnic with my family. The shadow of the far-off evil found itself very, very close to Twistron. It could practically feel its target's presence.
take these lanterns, men, and let the light of the goddess shine. For the night is dark and full of terrors, and there's a pile of horse poo around here somewhere. I trod in it earlier. For the darkness! I mean, for the light! Sorry, I'm still in training.
Yes, well, that is somewhat suboptimal. Naturally, the shadow of the almighty evil was an incredibly powerful creature. But, well, light was a bit of an issue. It would certainly be wise to stay out of the lantern light. The shadow reached the entrance to Twistron. Fortunately, this one was not closed, but it was brightly lit. Luckily, there was an unfortunate guard on patrol that the shadow was able to possess, thanks to its incredible powers. As long as it wasn't in the light.
What was that? I think there was something wrong with that last beer.
Unfortunately, the shadow's possession only lasted a short while before the guard was able to free himself. Still, it was long enough to get past the gate. The shadow's target was close, so close. Talia, the dark elf. Soon she would fight on the side of evil.
May the goddess be with you, my friends. It will soon be time to open the orphanage in the fatiguing library. Come to the big square and join in the festivities.
Well, I don't know. I had actually kind of planned.
Stop holding the lantern in my face like that, boy. I am Grimly, king of the dwarves, and I am used to the cold, dark tunnel. I have no need of any stupid crap. Stuck in that damn.
In the distance, one could hear the unbearably good bells of a church. They must be marking the opening of the orphanage in the fatiguing library. Heroes with lanterns began to stream in that direction. The crossing on a red signal evil shadow swore, or would have if it had a mouth, and tried to avoid the lanterns as much as possible.
Here to open this orphanage in the fatiguing library for our goddess, and in the name of my father Tanos, I'm glad to see so many of you here of your own free will.
Finally, the time had come, and the shadow of the passes in the slow lane evil...
My dear father would be very proud were he with us today. He would be overjoyed to see us give the young and the needy a place to live and thrive. That's why I'm happy to take this orphanage and destroy it utterly, and all of you with it.
What did she say?
Die! I feel the power within me. It's over 9,000!
Unimagined powers surfaced in Talia. The black magic of the Dark Elves. She immediately began to unleash these powers of chaos upon the world.
I'll tear you to pieces! I'll tear you to pieces!
The Dark Elf raged through Twistrom's inexperienced guards. She thereby built up a tremendous inner energy, which she released into the world as a focus beam, while screaming, Kamehameha! Meanwhile, in the fatiguing light,